Morning! Since harvest is over, we are headed to the airport so we can go to Florida for the rest of the winter. Totally kidding. In all seriousness, we're actually more of Arizona people. Look at how spacious this barn is with everything out of it. There's like so much room for activities in here. I'm just teasing about going on vacation, or at least right now. Although harvest is over, there is still ample amount of work to be done. Mainly tillage, washing equipment, and putting equipment away for the season. Wow, those things look gorgeous after getting washed off with some rain. Looks like the neighbors are picking corn across the road from us today. Ground is a little too greasy to think about doing any kind of tillage, so washing equipment and putting stuff away is what it's going to be. The final finish from this 2660 John Deere vertical till is actually phenomenal after you get a rain on it. If we had a rain before we started working, it'd be even better, but that's not the hand we were dealt. The added moisture should help accelerate decomposition of the corn stalks and help hold down any of this residue from blowing away. You are right in thinking that corn residue is worthless from a cash grain economic standpoint. However, corn stalks and all of the remaining residue out in our fields hold on to a tremendous amount of phosphorus and potassium, which is an essential nutrient for growing future crops. Getting it incorporated in the soil and starting the decomposition process is huge for our fertility program because we want this stuff to be available next season for the soybeans. Don't even get me started on fertilizer prices and what it would cost to replace that residue out there if we were to bale it or do something like that. It would be incredibly expensive just for the simple fact that all of our essential nutrients have gone way up in price. N, P, and K, which are macronutrients for growing any kind of crop, are very expensive to replace right now. That decomposition I'm talking about is right here. It's green and yellow. Vertical till and disc ripper. They do a tremendous amount of chopping, flipping, turning over the soil. I'm certain that a lot of you viewers are from a farm or have been actively involved in a farming operation during harvest season before and know what it's like to come down off of the harvesting rush. For those of you who aren't from a farm and maybe this is a little more foreign to you, I would imagine there's a good example, I can't think of it, of what it's like for us backing off the throttle after finishing our harvest. For the last 31 days in a row on our farm, the end-all be-all of what we are doing is harvesting our crop. There is nothing else other than going to church on Sundays that takes any precedence over getting our crops out of the field. Maybe a little tillage here and there if the weather allows it, but overall, our main goal, our entire focus of what we do from when we wake up to go to bed is pick our corn and cut our soybeans. Put it simply, making the shift back to just our normal workload and schedule is a little complicated. It takes a week or two to get used to it. Just the thought of me going home today to take a lunch break is baffling because I have not been able to do that for 30 plus days, or at least very rarely have I gotten to do that. So we're gonna do our best to get some work done and not go crazy. Dad and I have talked it over and we're actually gonna try something a little bit different for our equipment storage this year. Instead of putting our big 74-foot augers that take up a large amount of our cold storage shed, actually gonna try and take these down to what we call our white shed, a much older open storage barn, and see if we can squeeze them in. As one might imagine, a 74-foot auger takes up quite a bit of room in our barns. This off-season, we've upgraded a few pieces of equipment that are going to take up more space, like a bigger planter coming in that will replace this, and having that entire quadrant of the barn covered up with the augers is just not the best use of our space. But we do want to store our augers inside because keeping them out of the direct sunlight and effects of Mother Nature does really extend their lifespan. I just want to preface this by saying that what we're about to attempt with these augers is a complete adventure. We don't know if it's going to work. We've done the measurements. The dimensions are more than tight. If we do everything right and finagle everything correctly, they should fit in that barn and we should have a lot more space. The only way to figure out whether or not something is feasible is to just try it for yourself. There's an old running gear in here that we need to get out of the way so we can squeeze this auger in. Look at this little hitch pin. It's like cute sized. Well, not quite long enough to pin it. We're not going any farther than out in the yard though, so we'll just leave it like that. Who invited this guy? There's always one in every group just wants to tag along. The interesting challenge with what we're about to attempt is that our door here is at best 10 foot tall. Our big augers at their highest point are just shy of 12 foot tall. So getting it in this door and back into the corner of this barn in a convenient and comfortable fashion is going to be easier said than done. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's gonna work at all. We'll probably bring the augers down, back them in, and then grab them with a loader, pick them up so the tall part is angled down, then back them in. Gonna need a chain, gonna need the loader, and of course we're gonna need an auger. I already foresee there being a lot of working words used today. Putting the augers away is hectic enough. When you have ample space, it's a whole nother ballgame when you're trying to stuff it in a barn that's not even big enough. We've had much worse ideas, I can tell you that. It's always a mistake to be the guy who volunteers to turn the jack stand. I'm not much wiser. I'm getting the chain. Just some discrepancies in opinion on how it should be chained, that's all. Everyone wish us luck. Close. Wow, that is so close.
How much farther, Andy?
8 or 9 foot. Easy. A little more. Oh!
Come down a little. Lay your heart to the south. Whoa! Come in.
Whoa!
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 Back down. Back around.
All right, we're putting it down. Whoa!
Whoa!
About there, we're gonna need to board it.
Hold it. Okay, down. Whoa!
Yeah, we're pretty much geniuses. Well, machine. No other way.
Put the pin in the power shaft in the tractor.
There was like a half a second there where maybe I doubted Marty's madness, but he made it work. And we're gonna try and put the other one in. I told you it was gonna work, Jeff.
Okay.
Here comes the second auger. lot of interesting trinkets in this barn. Yeah, he's by. Well, that went better than expected. We just gained a lot of space back at the main shed. The best part about making that work is that we can actually fit our equipment comfortably in our main shed. Day 32 of harvesting. Thankfully, for both the sake of myself and the combine, that was just a joke. The combine is going to get relocated inside, out of the harmful embrace of Mother Nature. While we wait on Marty to move a tractor out of our way in the corner of the barn, I do want to share my thoughts on this 780. It's a 2022. We put about 260 engine hours on it, which is a pretty normal amount of use for a farm of our size. That being said, this was a fantastic machine, especially compared to the one we had last year. This one had one issue, and it was that bolt that was missing in the engine bay door cover. Other than that, flawless all season. There was one error code for our intake being plugged because of a stick inside of it. That really was not the combine's fault, it just happened. It is truly amazing how two different machines of the same specifications, just manufactured at different dates, can be night and day difference in terms of reliability. This one, a dream, a gift from God with how well it was and the amount of uptime it had. Our last one, a complete train wreck from the start. Because we've had so much luck with this combine, we are inclined to keep it as opposed to trading it for another new one. This has been a good machine, and that's typically a start of a good life on the farm. Our farm is still having a lot of luck with the C8R corn heads. The issue we had at the tail end of corn harvest, I believe, was operator error. Dad did not tell me, but right before I got in the combine that day to run it, he ran something through that specific row. I would imagine that that incited the issue with the snap and roll. The jack stands on the back of the corn head are a fantastic feature. I don't know why they just added it now. Should have been on corn heads all along. It's great for unhooking in the field, and it pairs nicely with the factory installed stock stompers. These stock stompers are the only questionable part of these corn heads. They seem to be a little flimsy. In defense of their manufacturer, Marty is the one running this combine and corn head. He's a little bit abusive. Gosh, did Hulk Hogan screw that on? A little low on oil, but it's on a slope, so we'll take it. Move this out of the way. I know everyone wants to hear my opinion on the J&M 1222 grain cart on tracks. Patience, everyone, patience. Does this 2660 have any grease zerks, or are they all sealed bearings? Seems like most equipment anymore has got sealed bearings on it. Yep, I'd say all sealed bearings on this baby. Same goes for that 2720 disc ripper. It makes sense from Deere's perspective when they're charging as much as they are for their new tillage devices, for them to make them as reliable as possible out of the gate, remove farmer error or lack of maintenance from the equation with a sealed bearing. Who cares how it runs 10 years down the road? It's the first 5 years who are the most important customers to Deere. Individuals purchasing within the used tillage market are already accepting that there may be some major issues with the device they're buying. That's just the nature of the beast. Tillage equipment just takes a beating season after season, so it's not surprising when you see bearings go out, tires blow, things of that nature. Or it could be completely wrong and this thing may be reliable without greasable bearings for 20 or 25 years. Unlikely, yeah, but possible. This 2660 VT though may be one of the best tillage tools on the market. If you guys are on the fence about buying one of these, other than their price tag, you're not going to be disappointed. It is the tail end of this Thursday, but it seems to help with washing stuff if you give it a little pre-soak rinse. Tomorrow I'm planning on breaking out the power washer and really thoroughly cleaning the dirt and minimal amount of mud off of the grain cart. That is the only downside about black. It shows dirt much more than a lighter color would. Before we dive into fully cleaning and eventually unhooking one of the main parts of our harvesting crew, I do want to give you my commentary on this new grain cart and what my opinions are. Keep in mind that this is coming from a guy who has never had tracks on anything before, except for a combine. The grain cart itself is really no different than the one we had previously. All of the hardware is basically the same exact thing as our 1112 we had that we traded in on this 1222, with the exception of the extra 1.5 or 2 foot of overhang on the right side. Although that feature does look a little goofy from behind, it is actually extremely useful and convenient. Makes unloading the combines a lot easier, especially in tight spaces. That extra compartment alone gains you 100 or 150 bushels versus the standard spec grain cart of the same size. That's actually what the 22 part of the name indicates. The 22 series J&M carts have the extra reach. The 12 series are just the standard sidewalls. Besides that one additional feature, it's the same exact grain cart, has the extended reach J&M auger. Phenomenal. I can reach probably 7 or 8 foot away from the base of the grain cart to load a truck. Very handy, especially when it gets wet and we can't pull our trucks in the field. I do love that aspect. The adjustable spout gives you a little bit more room. It only adjusts up and down, not side to side like the Brent carts do, so maybe not as convenient for loading. At the end of the day though, front and back adjustment's not a deal breaker for me. Okay, let's talk about the stabilizer track system. From what I've observed, they're low maintenance, seemingly reliable, and they track pretty good unloaded, which I hear is a common complaint about tracks, is that if there's not an appropriate tensioner like these have, the tracks will actually flop around a lot. These are built to remain tight whether empty or loaded. One thing I noticed, and there is a sticker here behind my emergency scoop shovel, is that you do need to take wider turns with the tracks. Not only will they berm, they do kind of fight the turn pretty hard. I wasn't the best about doing that because a lot of times I only had so much room to work with. That is something to keep in mind. It's not as agile as a wheeled cart. I would like to think that the tracks helped with compaction. However, I don't have really solid evidence other than that last day of harvesting with their true flotation ability. Our ground conditions were relatively firm all harvest season, so we never put them to the test. I don't know that we ever got our true money's worth. I will say that there's no doubt in my mind that they did not at least lighten our footprint a little bit. This is completely anecdotally speaking, but I do feel as though the tracks pulled better when the cart was loaded in the field than a wheeled cart would. On the opposite side of the coin though, it felt like they pulled harder going down the road empty. I don't know if that has something to do with the size of the footprint or the grip on the ground. Something I did notice. The ultimate question is, are the tracks worth their substantial cost over just tires? And to be honest with you, I can't give you a definitive answer. If you're very conscientious about your footprint, your compaction, the pressure you're putting on the ground, yeah, I think you will enjoy your investment. The only speculative thing I can say is that I do believe if we had these tracks last season, it would have made a world of difference. Out of everything we changed this year on our grain cart rig, from the cart to the tractor, the most impressive thing we added was by far the Libre cart scale system. Made my life so much easier. Anywho, that's a little bit too much rambling for this part of the video. I will check back in with you tomorrow when we're firing up the power washer and shining this beauty up. I'm deeply regretting not just power washing that grain cart last night because it's about 35 degrees right now. I'm on a quest for my mud boots, which have not been used in a long time. By the way, we did finally sell our 8285R that was replaced by our newer 8R370. Glad to have it off our balance sheet. I say our balance sheet, but in all reality, most of the stuff is not directly mine other than my family ties to what's going on here. I own a very, very tiny amount of what we use out here. Quite literally like a grain of sand, financially speaking, in a beach of what our equipment consists of. Found them. Make sure there's no mice in there. You never know who's going to be posted up waiting on you. Still haven't caught up to the cool kids who are foaming their equipment. This is kind of fun. The art to washing your farm equipment is doing so without getting dirty yourself. It's easier said than done. first try, but it will start. Chris and I cleaned on this for close to an hour, probably as good as it's going to get. We are both limited by the quality of water we're rinsing with because we are using well water, and our physical height because we can only reach so high with the brush. I can see where a foaming system would be good because it conforms to all of the odd shaped crevices on your implements. In another couple of days, that is going to have a very interesting smell to it. Although we may have changed grain carts this season, I think we're still going to park the new one in the same spot, the northeast corner of our shed. Time to unhook the grain cart. It's been a good ride this year, grain cart. For that yet?
Whoa, wait a minute. We have to put it back down, Amy, so we can get this off.
Got about 4 or 5 lines coming out. Cameras are unhooked, scale leads unhooked. Pretty much ready to break free. This 8R370 made one heck of a grain cart tractor, probably just because it has so many amenities on the inside. On the outside, it's our first tractor with independent front suspension, which is ridiculously nice. Just 2 old pals resting together. Cleaning season is just beginning. And we haven't even got into the messy stuff like the corn heads. That's next. On to the next project. This one was not initially in today's agenda. It was added about 30 seconds ago. Yes, your eyes are not mistaking you. We are back at the augers. Dad, Chris, Jeff, and I had so much fun putting these in that we decided to pull one of them out just to get the enjoyment of putting it back in. No, I'm just kidding. Our neighbors Bill and Stan called this morning and said one of their augers is down and they don't have a backup, so we are doing the neighborly thing and letting them borrow ours. That does raise the question, Bill and Stan, because I know you're watching. Why didn't you guys break your auger yesterday morning before we put these in here? Always happy to help people out. It is kind of comical that we have to get it back out of the barn. Thing in life worth doing is worth doing twice. I believe that's the saying. There goes one of our 13-inch augers on our 7330 to go help the neighbors. I figured I might as well stop by the up-offs and see what our auger's up to. Looks like they got it loading some corn. Red tractor, I don't know about that. Maybe one of these days we'll get them converted to good old green and yellow John Deere equipment. But they do love that red stuff here. This must be their auger that quit on them, seeing as it's not in action. Pretty much the same length as ours. It's a 71 foot, so a 3 or 4 foot difference on total reach. However, this is only a 10-inch auger, so they're actually gaining quite a lot of capacity, or bushels per hour, by loading with that auger. 3 inches in diameter makes a world of difference for grain flow. The extra diameter in flighting also requires a lot more horsepower to turn. So we sent them with our 7330. They didn't think that their 806 Farmall would quite have enough power. Now that is good timing. Showed up and Chris and Dad have just finished washing off this corn head. Time to unhook this head and put it away for winter storage. At the end of the day, our main goal with all of our equipment is to get a majority of the physical debris off of the equipment, especially the plant residue, because our lovely co-inhabitants of this great farm, the mice, love to use that stuff to build nests, and inevitably in the process of doing so, they chew through wires and other goodies that are expensive to replace. Had to take off early yesterday so I could go trick-or-treating with Lenny. He was a minion. Cutest thing I've ever seen. You know, I could use a crew of those little yellow helper guys on the farm here, especially when it comes to cleaning up the corn heads. Looks like I shouldn't have eaten my Wheaties this morning. I just broke this handle off here. Might be a warranty claim. Yeah, I'd say it is a manufacturing issue. Look how shoddy the weld is here on the other side. It's cracking. I need to replace all 4 of them on both corn heads. I do like these C8R, C-Series corn heads in general, just because they've added a lift assist to them, so they're pretty easy to get open, and you can open up these outside rows, which makes it easier to clean. Mice enjoy a lot of different habitats, but for some reason they have an affinity to corn heads. I can't begin to understand why mice would like corn heads. Not like there's good nesting material or food or anything like that. Showers today, but here we are. This is the point in the year where if you're a very high maintenance individual, you'd go ahead and oil up all of the moving parts on your corn head to prevent them from rusting in the off season. We used to do that years ago. We stopped doing it. I don't know why, and we've never really restarted. I don't know where we're going to put the 2 corn heads, seeing as our old storage spot is going to be completely restricted by augers. Other than getting traded off to a farm that untensions their gathering chains and oils them, the best thing that could happen to these corn heads is a nice shower to rinse off any remaining residue. Handle on the other corn head looks a little less flimsy. That is definitely a spot, though, with the way the corn heads run against the ground, that a rock or even a very firm pile of dirt could probably push up against that and break it, especially with how low quality the welds were. There has been a big development on our farm for our future mouse control operations. We're investing heavily in the kitty space. So what are all their names, Ace?
One's Skipper.
Which one's Skipper?
That one back there. And this is No, this is Skipper, that's Scooter, and this is Peaches, and this is Dot. You know, I like Peaches because Peaches is growing up. Peaches is like bigger than her brothers.
Do you think when they're older, they're going to eat a lot of mice?
Yeah.
Good, that's what we need. One last stop for the day, and that's back where Jeff is working ground. It appears that the soil was a little heavy in the corner over here. I kind of thought that inch of rain we had would soak up quicker than it did. I don't really know that we can complain about the finish out here. You give this ground a winter to mellow out, get some more moisture in and out of it, and it may be one heck of a seed bed. The only thing that these vertical tills are better at than one-pass tillage is throwing dirt everywhere. There's gonna be $10,000 worth of dirt sitting on the frame by the time we're done working ground this year. Oh well, that is just the cost of doing business. This tool is doing a wonderful job for us so far. Hopefully with the moisture in the soil and warm temperatures we've had and continue to have, all of this corn will sprout and then we'll get a round of frost to help eliminate it. Volunteer corn from the previous season in the next season's bean crop is kind of an eyesore. It's not really that expensive to fix. All you need is a clethodim, which is a relatively cheap product to apply to your soybeans. Other than our one tillage tractor running, the only other really exciting thing that's going on right now is that we do have anhydrous ammonia being custom applied by Nutrien on some of our farms. All of our dry fertilizers caught up. They were right behind the combines for the most part. I'll talk a little bit more about fertilizer, nitrogen, and the price of everything this fall, maybe in the next video or so. Pretty much that story can be summarized into one word, and that's expensive. But that is a topic for another video. We'll dive into it in the next episode. Until then, everyone make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace!